Hi everyone, it's Friday, which means it's my day off, which doesn't change enormously at the moment in terms of where I am, but it does feel good to not feel like I have any responsibilities. And this isn't a responsibility. This is something for me that's good for me, and I think good for you. And some of you keep telling me you're enjoying. So here we go. Um, I went off for a long bike ride this morning, and it was beautiful. Left about 6:45. It was misty. It was still. It was gorgeous, gorgeous morning, and I got just shy of Easingwold, and looked to my left. And there was a farmer's field that's recently sown, and the little green shoots are just starting to come through. And I was mesmerised. Stopped because in the middle of the field there was a fox standing very still, about 15 yards away from two pheasants. And I paused on the side of the road on my bike with my heart beating, thinking, here's my big David Attenborough kill moment, or dramatic chase and narrow escape. And watched and watched and watched. And after a minute or two, thought, that fox hasn't moved at all in the last, since I've been watching. And then it dawned on me that actually the fox was a scarecrow. It was beautifully lifelike, just the right size, just the right proportions in the middle of the field. And I don't know whether it was in silhouette or not. I couldn't see it. As I say, it was atmospheric, misty morning, but I was properly fooled by the appearance of the fox. And I rode on chuckling at myself, as well as commending the farmer for quite a clever scarecrow. Although the crows obviously had worked out what it was and didn't give a rat's. So that's how my morning began. A couple of days ago, Lucas, having discovered Winnie the Pooh, we've read all the Winnie the Pooh stories for the last little while, and we've watched on Disney Plus. No commission required, Disney. Thank you very much, but I'll just give you a mention. We've been watching some of the old and best sort of Winnie the Pooh stuff, including the original kind of Disney film from mid '70s when I was his age, and in my study, he found my childhood mirror, which I've had for a long time, obviously, from before I was his age probably. And the silvering on the back of the mirror is not, it's got scratches in it, and it's not in great shape, but it has on the mirror as part of the decoration. It's just a plain square mirror. It has Winnie the Pooh and Rabbit, and his eyes just lit up. And I said to him, "Do you want it? Do you want me to put it up in your room?" So we've stuck it on the back of his door, and he's quite solemnly brushed his hair a few times looking into the mirror. And of course, I remember that mirror through lots, huge parts of my childhood. I remember, especially as a teenager, spending a lot of time looking into that mirror at the weekend when I was home from boarding school. Um, just tweaking a hair here or a bit there, and you know, am I starting to grow anything on my face that could resemble manly hair? Just a lot of anxiety, a lot of a lot of longing and willing and questioning of my own face as I looked into that Winnie the Pooh and Rabbit mirror, which is now 45 years later, since I got it, at least, hanging on the back of my little boy's door. I discovered, because I've been using Zoom for video conferencing and meetings and so on, discovered a setting in Zoom yesterday which intrigued me. It's in my settings for my own video, my own video feed. It has the option to tick a box that says "touch up your appearance." so, so I'm going to show you what Zoom decided to do with my appearance. I'm not sure that I can see any noticeable difference. I just did a bit of a screenshot of it, but I've done what you see in all of those kind of before and after things. In the first picture, which is just me before my appearance is touched up, of course I look sad and gloomy and down, and my shoulders are hunched. And in the second, I've over exaggerated the kind of my life has changed face or posture that is often part of those videos. So here's the first one. And here's the second one. So you'll see quite obviously that my appearance is dramatically touched up, and I'm a different person in the second picture. Well, it's an incredibly sad thing, actually, how over the course of our lifetimes we 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 have our ability to see ourselves as beautiful, as wonderful, as even gorgeous, attractive, worth looking at, even just to start at the bottom of the pile. That gets eroded by a massive societal sort of psychology and insecurity and bluntly invasive and actually often disrespectful marketing platform that keeps telling us that we can always look a bit better, we can always look a bit sharper. In my eclectic listening to the radio, I had Women's Hour on a couple of days ago, and Jenny Murray was talking about some of the emails she was getting and the responses she was getting to an immediate conversation that had just happened with a number of women who'd phoned in about their inability at this time to go and have their nails done or their hair, or there's lots of comments on Facebook and other places of people saying, well, I just have to go grey now, don't I can't dye my hair anymore. Well, I think you can still buy hair dye, that's an essential item. Well, it's in the supermarket. I sort of jest, of course, but what was interesting was the conversation that followed was in response to a number of women who'd emailed in and said, you know what, I've never gone to get my nails done. I've always done all that stuff myself. This sounds like a very kind of middle class, wistful, unnecessary sort of moan about the fact of not being able to be as manicured as you usually are. The other side of that conversation was about the way that, and one of the women said this, in the process of having her nails done or her hair washed by another person and then cut, and that kind of beauty industry has an intimacy to it, because you are really up close and personal with somebody who is touching your body in some way, and you trust them. You trust them with maybe quite a significant part of yourself, and that trust builds over time and a relationship develops, and actually there is a therapeutic value to that haircut or that visit to the nail salon or wherever it is that can't be underestimated. And I know that to be true from having conversation with older folk, especially women who live alone and who have a kind of, in their patterns, a weekly trip to the hairdresser to get their hair done. And that actually involves very little hairdressing, but involves touch and conversation and greeting and storytelling and all kinds of things that are just good for their soul. So I got done by a plastic fox this morning. I think it was probably plastic. And my son now has my teenage mirror up in his bedroom, the very mirror that I poured my soul into as a teenager, in all the joy of wrestling with your appearance when you're that age. I've cut my own hair for best part of, since 2002. I arrived in the UK, discovered that going to a men's hairdresser's or a barber in the UK cost about 20 times as much as it did in South Africa, given that I'd come with South African currency. So I went to Argos, which was an amazing experience for me. Never been to a place like that. Went to Argos, bought myself a pair of clippers. I'm on my third pair of clippers in 18 years. I've had a lot of cheap haircuts. But I'm not too bothered about what my face looks like. Yeah. I still look in the mirror quite a bit, like we all do, I think. But I'm glad to not be particularly bothered about my appearance. I guess if I wanted to say it in some spiritual way, I would say that my faith has helped me to know that I'm beautiful. And it might seem odd for a 49-year-old bearded man to be saying that into a screen. But this is part of who I am. But it's not all of who I am. And your face is part of who you are, but it's not all that you are. So today I hope that you feel beautiful. I hope that you are beautiful, and that you know that you are beautiful, and that whether the grey is growing out and you're not able to dye it, or whatever the the effects are of coronavirus on appearance. Just this morning on BBC Breakfast, they were saying that people are showering less, shaving less, even wearing deodorant less. On an anecdotal survey. Well, yeah, why not? Why not? Somehow, in the freedom to be ourselves, we don't decline into some kind of squalor. We just perhaps shed a little bit of the need to present ourselves to other people in a particular way. And if that's one of the gifts of this time, let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy that. Yeah? The need not to put on a face, or put on a set of clothing, or put on a persona, or put on any of the things that we might otherwise put on that are part of managing our appearance for other people. If coronavirus, when it ends, sees us going exactly back to the same patterns we had before, well, that's something for each of us to wrestle with. But for now, whether you've put deodorant on today, whether you've had a haircut in, I don't know, however long, whoever you are, whatever you think you look like, and whatever mirror shapes your life, I hope that you feel free and that you feel beautiful, because I'm quite sure that those things are good for us, and I'm also quite sure that those are the things that God wants us to know and to feel and to have be true, more than just feeling them about ourselves. Yeah, always work to do. Yeah, some of that is about like maintenance and clipping and just tending to ourselves. Some of it is about taking part in a society that still values appearance too highly in all kinds of ridiculous ways. But today, be beautiful. Today, be yourself. Today, feel no need to impress anybody, because there's nobody to impress. And let that sink in a bit and just love it. Have a good day.